Welcome back, folks, if you've been here before, and welcome to our first-time guests. This is the Ask the Expert webinar series. It's sponsored by dfree, and it is powered by Prudential. And we do this to bring regular information that will both inform and inspire our communities about all things related to finance. Not all of our experts have PhDs, but the fact is, a PhD is someone who's read and written about things, but practitioners are the ones who do them themselves. Every now and then we'll have a PhD who is also a practitioner, but we are focused heavily on examples because so many of us have been embracing this narrative that because of racism and recession or because we came out of foster care or have a criminal record, there are all kinds of things that remind us of what we cannot do. But what we want is to break through those make-believe barriers and give people options that are practical and that other people are teaching and doing. And that's why we call this Ask the Expert. It's down to earth, it's real time, and it's application based. And my co-host, I keep calling the co-host, she's really the host of this project and this program and this experience is a communications guru. She is a good writer, good speaker, good thinker, good everything. And Brittany, I'm so happy to continue having you. You know, the first time we worked together, it lasted a week, 1 week. But I was fortunate to have you come back, and now we've been together for over a year.
Yes.
A year and a half, and you've just done a marvelous job. So, Britt, I'm so excited about our guest today because in addition to paying down debt, in addition to having a budget, in addition to all of the defensive things we teach people about money, we need people to make more money. And our guest today is an example of someone who takes something that all of us kind of see but don't understand and translates it into opportunities to grow our income. So welcome our guest after you greet our audience.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Saunders, you're always so kind, and it is always an honor to work with you and to be with you on Ask the Expert. And today I'm really excited about our guest. Her name is Kelly Saunders. She is an automotive education specialist, also the CEO of Kelly Sells Cars. She is a car consultant and strategist. And Kelly, I'm so excited to have you with us today because so many of the people that we work with say, you know, they would like to learn some more information about how to have perhaps a side hustle or perhaps how to turn their side hustle into their main hustle. And so many people really enjoy the automotive industry, and you are an expert in that area. So first, can you describe for us how you really came about to love like the automotive industry and really finding your own niche in it?
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for having me on your program. I got my start in automotive over a decade ago. I started in automotive retail sales. So I've worked for companies such as Toyota, Kia, Honda, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Ford, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. And the list goes on. So I started in retail sales and I loved it. For me, my parents are politicians, and so it was expected that I would follow in their footsteps. And I said, I want to be able to make it on my own in an industry that my family knows nothing about. So while my degree is in criminal justice, I went for automotive. And I love it. It is the only industry where you can have untapped amounts of income that can come in very quickly. Second to real estate. Real estate, you have a lot of money that comes in, but it takes some time to close on a house. And then I found my passion really was in helping people. I learned very quickly in automotive that unfortunately, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Black and brown people, we are taken advantage of disproportionately in the automotive industry and are more likely to be victims of predatory lending. Right. And because of that, I believe that we should, one, know more about, lending, know more about auto finance, but also know more about how you can leverage your vehicle to make money for you. A car is always going to be a depreciating asset, but sometimes it can be an income producing asset if leveraged correctly. So that's how I got into it. And that's the motivation behind it.
Teach us, teach us, teach us, please. You know, I always remind people when I was young and broke, I drove expensive luxury cars. And now that I'm old and not broke, I drive used cars that are paid for. And I can't tell you, but more importantly, when we started this D-free movement, one of the striking incidents that we had was this. We had a doctor in our church whose credit score was close to 800. He was paying 27% interest on his car note. We refinanced his car through our credit union and brought him from 27% down to 4%. And we cut his $800 a month car note in half to drive the same car. And that's why having access to you and your brain and your presentation and your business is important for D-Free, because most of us drive cars. And I want you to walk us through the process. Tell us what we need to know, since we're going to be driving these cars. Tell us what we need to know about the purchase process, the leasing realities, and using the cars to generate income.
Absolutely. So I'll tap in on all three of those things. Number one, when it comes to acquiring a vehicle, there's one of three ways to do it, maybe four, but I don't like the fourth one. So I'll tap in on all of them though. So you have financing, right? Which is essentially you're taking out a loan and paying it off over a certain period of time with a certain interest rate. And then after the vehicle is paid off, you receive a title. The next is leasing. So leasing, you're never going to own the vehicle, and that's more for people who trade their cars often. So if you're a person who went in on a 7-year loan or a 6-year loan, but you trade your car in 2 years, you're now rolling over a ton of negative equity, right? But if you leased your vehicle instead and you got out of it in 2 years, there's no negative equity to have to move to the next vehicle. So especially well for those who don't drive very much, or who can have a high mileage lease structured on their behalf or their business's behalf, leasing has its definite benefits. I have a vehicle personally that I lease, and I also have a vehicle that I purchased pre-owned. So I'll tap in on that as well. The next way is cash. So buy a car cash outright, and you own it instantly, and you don't have to worry about it. I don't like that method as much, but here's why. Because now you're no longer liquid. You've now put all of your liquid cash into a depreciating asset, right? Or a liability. And now, God forbid, somebody rear ends you, you're not going to get all of your money back. In a slanted car market like we're in now, you probably will. But if it was under normal circumstances outside of COVID parameters, then you would not get all of your money back. You'd receive a significantly less amount, which means you'd be out of money that you worked so hard to save up. So this is the fourth method that I teach. I actually did this with my mom. She's 75 years old. She had a leased Ford Explorer, but she loved the car, did not want to give it up. But the lease was over. And she said, I'm just going to buy this car cash. Her payoff was $25,000 for the rest of the car. I said, Mommy, there's a better way to do this. Let's get a secured personal line of credit where you're providing the security, you're providing the cash that you already have. So we went to her credit union. There's no credit check involved because she had the cash, she had the liquid, even though she's like your friend in the 800s. And the bank gave her a cashier's check, and they opened the secured line of credit for her. So now what happens is the interest rate is, I believe, 2.25%. And so she'll own her car outright in 5 years at 2.25%, and she'll have every bit of that $25,000 back because she's paying herself. So to me, that's the best way to buy a car cash, when you have the liquid. And in the event of a total loss, she doesn't have to pay any money that is not already been paid on that vehicle. And because according to insurance, she technically owns the car outright anyway, because she gave the dealership a cashier check, she'll get the total value of that vehicle back. And so that's how we would best get into a car. It really just depends on how your finances look, how your credit looks, things of that nature. But I believe everybody should know before they go, know your auto FICO 2, 4, 5, and 8 prior to purchasing a vehicle. Understand where you fall. And here's why. If you're like your friend or my mom and you have an 800 or better credit score, there's no way a credit union is going to beat a 0% interest rate that could be offered from the manufacturer. However, let's say you don't have that. Let's say you don't want to do business with the manufacturer. You should definitely know what you qualify for before you go. What's on your credit profile should never be news to you. It should always be something you already know. So then we talk about leveraging your cars, right? Make money from your car. I would say you can do ride share, which is Turo, Hire Car, Get Around, Shareable, Avail. There's a ton of different platforms that you can leverage, or you can do it independently. You could also put advertising on the side of your car, the back of your car. My dad is not big on that. He's not a fan of it, but my brothers are. So they have no problem putting a company's magnet on the side of the car and just making an extra $1,000 a month. Another potential income stream would be you could do a rent to own program. And so I teach people how to buy vehicles for cash, for wholesale from auction. And then with that, go ahead and do a rent to own program for people who may not have any credit. And so if you buy the car from auction for $2,000, tell the person, hey, for $5,000 down and $300 a month for 2 years, this could be your car. And you just structure it so that they pay you weekly or bi-weekly or however often they get paid. And you now have a part of reoccurring income that you don't have to worry about or stress about. And they get to treat it like it's their car. They get to care for it, do their own oil changes, maintenance, and all those things. So there's a ton of different ways to leverage your car to make some money.
Whew.
I know, right? That was good.
Most of the people that we've worked with, Ms. Saunders, don't even know what interest rate they're paying on their cars, because car dealerships promote monthly payments. And what we try to do is to get people to think interest rate and not monthly payment, because, you know, I had furniture. I tell the story. I had furniture that I bought for $3,000 and the monthly payment was $22 a month. It would have taken me 89 years to pay it off, you know, but it was affordable. So what do you advise people in terms of how to have the conversation at the dealership? Because these dealers, these salesmen, you know, they're pretty slick and quick. How do you approach an auto dealership if you're not buying cash about interest rates, whether it's a lease or purchase?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you're looking to finance a vehicle and you have done the application at the dealership, number one, always put in writing to not have them run your credit to more than 4 places. Why more than 4? It's actually 3, but the dealership has to be 1 because they have to pull your information in order to look over it to see where to send it. So the dealership counts as 1, and then the top 3 banks that you qualify for are the other 3. And so they would send it to no more than 3 institutions, but you will see 4 pulls on your credit. You put that in writing and have the sales manager or the general manager sign or initial that piece of paper, and you keep it. Why? It protects you in the event that more inquiries pop up over time. Sometimes in the dealership world, because we have a 30-day window, once that permission is given, if you're signing the general credit application, if we think we can quote unquote save a deal, we may send it to another lender in 2 weeks or 3 weeks because we have that 30-day window, and then call you and say, hey, great news, I was able to get you approved. Are you still in the market for a vehicle? I got you a better rate, right, than you had before. I got you a better deal than you had before when you were last here. When can you come back in? So you want to make sure that you put it in writing that they cannot submit your information to more than 3 places. Once you have that salesman jog, I call it, where they jog back to the table and say, hey, great news, we were able to get you approved. Congratulations. They'll tell you, here's 9 retail payments that my manager put together for you. Circle and sign which one works best, and I'll get your car ready for immediate delivery. At that point, you look over those numbers and do the math. Whichever works best for you, even if it's $0 down, that's fine, which is actually what I promote. If you see $350 a month, $500 a month, $600 a month, whatever it is for the term you feel most comfortable with, do the math. Make sure that you multiply that $350, $400, $500 a month out by the amount of months in the term. That's how you are able to see the true interest rate that they're quoting you at. Usually it's the average for your area. But if your average for your area is 9% or 10%, but you actually qualify for 4% or 3%, you've now agreed to numbers based on a market average that is not actually what you qualify for. So I always tell people, ask for something called the callback sheet. The callback sheet is the sheet of paper that every financial institution has to send to every dealership that they are looking to fund a deal through. It'll have certain types of information on it, like the car, the VIN, the miles on that vehicle, but it'll also have your personal information, including your interest rate that they are quoting you as a financial institution. So you cannot be victimized by a rate markup or what they call holding points. On average, between 2 and 3 points are held. And so now you're paying over interest just because you didn't ask for something so simple.
Wow.
On a lease, it's called a money factor. Money factor is a little bit different, but it's the same. If you're being shown a money factor, if you ask for that money factor and you're being shown something higher than 0.0022, then you're paying way too much on a money factor.
Wow. Can you imagine, Brittany, people buy and drive cars every day, but unless you run into someone like Ms. Saunders, there's no way to get this information. They don't teach it in school. They don't teach it in college. They don't teach it in church. I mean, this is very important. Ms. Saunders, if you don't mind me asking, but you're here, so you can't mind. How do you make money? How do you make money? Personally?
Absolutely. So I make money personally, one, by the car flipping method I told you about. I go to auction, I buy low and I sell high, but I do not sell to consumers. I sell my vehicles directly to dealers because dealerships are in a pinch too, right? They have a shortage on vehicles. So if I have a car, that's a potential asset for them. So I research different markets, different vehicles, and I buy cars from auction and sell it directly to places like CarMax, Carvana, and local dealerships as well. But also I teach automotive education, and I teach specifically also how to buy a car in a business name. That is a hot topic right now, trending in all social media. And most people don't really understand how to get it done from beginning to end. And so that's where I come in. And so I have courses and classes that I teach as well.
Well, where do you do this?
I have an ebook too.
Where do you do this teaching? Online, in school?
Yes, live on Zoom. Absolutely.
Really? And people pay a fee to enroll in your course?
Absolutely. The buy a car in your business name, most people who sign up for that are tax preparers, people in real estate, even people who are just regular business owners, and they want to know how to do it so that when they go to the dealership, they're not being shut down or turned around. They're able to actually structure their own car deal before they even go in because they know what they qualified for based on the class and the training they received.
Good. So Brittany, I gave one of your sisters advice on buying a car.
Mhm.
I didn't give your other sister advice. What about you? I mean, is there anything you're learning now that you wish you knew before you bought your last car?
Oh, absolutely. All of this. This is really wonderful information. I wanted to really go back to one of the things that you mentioned in the beginning when you said that it's important for them to only pull your credit 4 times. And you said that it needs to be written out. Do you recommend for someone to bring with them perhaps an already prepared statement that they want someone to sign with that
No.
statement in hand?
No.
Mhm.
I recommend actually, if you're there at the dealership, tell the salesman, go grab a piece of paper from the printer. I got to write something down real quick. And they're going to get up and they're going to go and do it. What happens is it shows them that you're a serious buyer. You're
Right.
not there just kicking tires. And if you're that serious about your credit, then they need to also be as serious. If they see, hey, listen, they just used our own paper and our own pen to write out this note and they want your signature, to them, it signals the psychology of selling signals they're ready to buy today. They're ready to make a move today if I can meet these accommodations. The same way that they are looking to sell you, right? And they'll say, hey, if I can meet your terms and conditions, will you buy today? And so it's a give and take. It's about negotiation. You want to negotiate and leverage your credit, right? They want to negotiate and leverage the car that they have. You obviously, at the end of the day, want that car, and they obviously also want to earn your business. Not just for the sale, though. They are looking to earn your business for the continued service business. So if they do good sales business with you, the likelihood is that you'll continue to show up for the service. And that's really where most dealerships make their money. It's in service, not in sales.
Right. My cousin owned a Ford dealership in Bound Brook, and he taught me that. And he put so much emphasis not only on the service itself, but on the comfort for people while they wait for their cars and the little donuts and coffee, you know, and you could tell that there was great investment made in the service section because that's where the money was being generated. Now, in terms of service, how do we know when we take our car in for servicing that we need what they say we need?
Absolutely. Great question. So, I actually did a Instagram live on this, but some basic things that you could do is, number one, you should always check to make sure that what they say they did, they actually did, right? So that's how we start that process. So men, women, if you have a little bit of nail polish in your house, just put a little dot on the inside wall of 2 of your tires, one the front driver's side, 2 the rear passenger side. They say they rotated your tires. If you still see that dot in those places, they did not rotate your tires around.
Wow.
So definitely put those dots in those 2 places and make sure that you go ahead and take pictures for sure before you take the car in. So just in case they say, no, we did rotate your tires, you can show the before pictures with a timestamp. So make sure you just put a little dot on the inside wall of your tire. So that way you know if they actually rotated them. As far as the oil change goes, make sure you ask for your filter back. Just say you want to recycle it yourself, you want to see the filter. And also if they say they did your air cabin filter, that is located usually right next to your engine. You can unclip it and open it yourself and be able to see exactly how clean or how dirty it is. Always ask for your filters back. Now, if they say, hey, you need this service, ask for proof. So if they say you need new tires, ask them to take you with the tread depth reader to show that you need new tires. Ask them to walk out with you and do the whole, show you where the wall of your tire may be thinning, so on and so forth. They say you need a new wiring harness. Ask them to show you that wiring harness. Is it being eaten through by maybe squirrels or field mice or something like that? Or is it just normal wear and tear and you just need a new one? So I would say always ask, but know your car. Take pictures after every single service. Even if you have to upload it to your computer to keep your phone free for those wonderful family pictures, just go ahead and take pictures after every single service so that you know exactly what you need. And don't be afraid to Google your car. Google what's expected at what mile marker. If it's expected that your tires last 30,000 miles and you're at 35,000 miles, maybe you do need new tires. I don't know. But definitely Google what services are needed at what particular mile marker. And it could save you a lot of money with things like transmissions, engines, water pumps, fuel lines, all of it. If you know what typically needs to be replaced and when, so that you can either buy a vehicle service contract or save, so that way you can facilitate the changing or repair of those particular parts and components.
What a bundle of information. Brittany Smallwood, let me introduce you to the new D-Free auto expert.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Kelly.
You are the one.
Yes, after this, I'm like, I gotta go back and write my notes. Kelly, this was so good.
Right.
I know we're close to our time, but Kelly, I want to ask you a few more questions in regards to people selling it, right? If they do their side hustle. So if they go to a site like Turo, is there a fee? And then B, how do they know how to price their vehicle? Like the experience someone is going to get.
Great question. So number one, and this is going to sound so salesy, but it's true. Don't price your car based on what you think other people can afford. So don't price based on other people's pockets. Just generally, people like to project that they think people are able to pay, and so they price that way. Don't. Do your market-based research. For example, I'm in New York City. If I have a black, I don't know, Ford Mustang. It's a 2-door coupe. It's a luxury, sports luxury kind of car for some people. Maybe they just want to ride around the city on a Mustang. But it's January. Nobody is riding around in New York City on a Mustang in January. It'll snow and you'll be stuck. So price based on the market and the season. That is not a smart car to have in the Northeast on Turo right now. Right. But in the summer, it is going to be a phenomenal vehicle. So keep up with the market research, but other similar cars and similar year and similar mileage are being priced at. And price yourself just a little bit over what they're pricing. Price themselves just a little bit over what they're pricing themselves at. And here's why. You want to over describe in the description by having things you can do with that vehicle. So like I said, I'm in New York City. My description would say, hey, take a drive through Central Park, maybe ride out to Jones Beach. I would have things in my description that shows things that you can do. Most people's descriptions lack. And the reason why most people's descriptions lack is because they copy and paste from dealerships' websites. So if you go on certain Turo hosts profiles, it'll say something like, oh, this Ford Mustang is a great vehicle. However, it lacks in trunk space. What? Who wants to read that? So that's how you know when things are copy and pasted. So number one, do not copy and paste. Number two, definitely cross-reference your market. Number three, buy a vehicle that would be great all 4 seasons. So look for a vehicle that can transcend all 4 seasons, regardless of what market you are in. An example would be a Nissan Altima. A Nissan Altima would be a great vehicle that would transcend all markets, right? And all times of the year, and has great space and excellent comfort. So that would be like an example for me. But if somebody is looking to leverage their vehicle, what was touched on a little bit earlier was interest, right? I would say take that car payment, divide it by 4.33 and make that payment weekly. So now you're leveraging the amortization schedule and the interest clock, because every single time a payment is made on a car loan, it cannot have interest accrued on that day. So you're able to go, if there's 52 weeks in a year, 52 days interest free. So that's another way that you can leverage your vehicle to go ahead and make some money.
That last
And
statement,
save money.
that last statement can be life-changing for people. And folks, listen, Kelly Saunders is just a guru. I mean, she's got it from top to bottom, inside out, and she's talking from experience, not something she read in the book. Kelly, how can people contact you? At least how can I contact you? Because I plan to stay in touch with you and take you everywhere you're willing to go, that we go. How can people?
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. You can reach me at kellysellscars.com. Also on Instagram as Kelly Sells Cars, Twitter is Kelly Sells Cars, pretty much all social media. You type in Kelly Sells Cars or hashtag Kelly Sells Cars, it's me. So you can feel free to get in touch with me that way, or kelly10k.com. I do have a 10K card, so kelly10k.com, KELLY10, the letter K.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us today. It was truly a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you both. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
You too, Kelly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.